Imagine a time with no paved roads, with no cars or bikes or planes or trains. Imagine a time when motorized vehicles were just being invented and most people never saw them or used them. Travel before the building of the Erie Canal was more than simply difficult, and that difficulty stood in the way of settling much of the upper Midwest. To travel into western New York and beyond, many travelers began their journey in Albany. From there, they would either travel by road or on the water. Roads meant dirty, muddy tracks through the woods. Often there were down trees and rocks in the path. During rains, the roads would flood, and there were limits to what horses and people could carry on their backs or in carts. Travel by water was often the only way to move large amounts of goods, but there were only two routes: the St. Lawrence in Canada or the Mohawk River in New York. The New York route worked like this. Canoes would be packed full and then pushed upstream along the Mohawk River, which is a tributary to the Hudson River. Often that was done by paddling, dragging, or pushing a boat upstream with a pole. The Mohawk got smaller and smaller as you got further upstream. Finally, by Rome, New York, the streams got too small for canoes to travel any further. Travelers had reached the headwaters of the Mohawk River. Travelers then had to empty out their canoes and carry all their goods, gear, and their boats along a portage trail over to the headwaters of the Wood Creek, which was between 1 and 4 miles away, depending on how much water was in each of the creeks. Wood Creek led travelers to Lake Oneida in the Syracuse area in central New York, and from there, the Oswego River would lead them all the way to Lake Ontario and points beyond. Travel took a long time and was extremely difficult. But that portage trail was so important that a fort was built in Rome, New York, just to defend that trail and keep travelers safe. Fort Stanwix was built in 1758 when New York was still a British colony. Such a difficult route was so valuable in those days because it was the best that they had. In fact, that portage trail, called the Oneida Carry, was used by native peoples long before the colonists arrived. In an age of interstate highways, jet airplanes, and high-speed trains, sometimes we forget how difficult travel was in the 19th century and before. Understanding that idea gives us a much better appreciation for how great an advance the Erie Canal was.